Hello everyone. Hope you are enjoying happy and good life. I am Mohammed Asif. We are discussing energy from chemicals, and this is the third video lecture about this. Uh, in the previous videos, we have discussed already exothermic and endothermic processes along with their energy profile diagrams. The energy profile diagrams of these processes are most important to understand, and it is also important to correlate with respect to energies of reactants and products. In the second video, we have already discussed exothermic and endothermic processes according to the bond breaking and bond forming, and using bond energies of different bonds. By calculating, we can easily conclude about a certain reaction, either it is exothermic or endothermic. Now, in this third lecture, we are focusing on particularly neutralization reaction. Neutralization reaction. There are so many types of reactions are there in chemistry. For example, combustion, hydrogenation, hydrolysis, displacement, double displacement, so many. Some of the reactions are exo and some of the reactions are endothermic. But in this video lecture, we are categorically discussing neutralization. Neutralization is always exothermic process. Exothermic. Why it is so? Now, according to neutralization, always exothermic reaction for which an experiment can easily be performed in school lab. Now, neutralization reaction is represented as the reaction indicated here. The neutralization reaction for acid and alkali can be performed in titration, and neutralization reaction between acid and bases which are insoluble in water, that can be performed in the simple method using beaker and only acid and bases. Now, acid is represented generally by H positive ion, which is called proton, but this proton cannot exist independently. So, it forms coordinate covalent bond with what molecule? And after forming coordinate covalent bond with water molecule, it change into hydroxonium ion. Now, this hydroxonium ion is represent acid, and it is the strongest acid known, H3O positive, hydroxonium ion. Similarly, an alkali or base is represented by hydroxide ion. Whenever we react both of these acid and bases, water is formed. As in this process, there is no bond breaking taking place, only the bond forming is taking place. And also this reaction represents that the ionization of acids and alkalis are much more as compared to water. As water is less ionized, that's why the ionic equation for the neutralization is represented by this equation. By this equation, as the bonds are only going to form and no bonds are going to break. That's why neutralization reaction is always exothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction. Now, these are the some important points. When acid reacts with alkalis, H positive ion form bonds with OH negative ion, hydroxide ion. As only bonds are formed and no bonds is going to break, so neutralization is always exothermic reaction. For reactions of strong acids and strong alkali, the enthalpy change of neutralization is constant, fixed. The graph plotted by the data of neutralization reaction, when the temperature is going to change, can be represented, that is present on the next slide. What we do, we take polystyrene cup and add 25 cm cube of 1 molar HCl in polystyrene cup and note the temperature of the acid using thermometer. When the temperature becomes stable or constant, then we add 25 cm cube of 1 molar NaH sodium hydroxide solution and start the stopwatch immediately. Then note the temperature change after each minute and record all the values, and this data is used to plot the graph. The graph plotted for the neutralization reaction looks like this. Now, this is the calorimeter in which we use. This is the polystyrene cup. Thermometer is inserted. Glass stirrer is present. What is the function of glass stirrer? Just to shake the solution so as the change in temperature should be recorded accurately. That should be the uniform. Then reaction mixture indicates the change in temperature, that is indicated by the thermometer values. We record values after each minute. First of all, as we will mix both acid and bases, temperature will start increasing. We have to note down the temperature after each 1 minute or 2 minutes. Then we have to note down the values till when the temperature start decreasing after attaining the maximum rise. When the temperature start decreasing, still we have to keep on noting the temperature decrease. Now, using all these values, we have to plot the graph. We have to put all the values on the grid. This graph is, for example, to familiarize the students what type of the graph will be formed. Values are different, but these blue points indicates the rise in temperature, and these red points are decreasing, that temperature is decreasing. Temperature is decreasing. Two straight lines will be obtained, and the point of intersection of these two straight lines, that will indicate the maximum rise of temperature. And from where the graph will start, that will be the room temperature. The difference of both of these values will indicate the total rise in temperature as a result of neutralization reaction. This is the method how we can find out the maximum temperature rise in neutralization reaction. These values indicates that at what volume of sodium hydroxide added we get a maximum rise in temperature. These values can vary as we will change the concentration of both the solutions. That's why the graph will always look like this, whatever the concentration we take for both acid and bases. In this manner, this graph is indicating as we mix alkali with acid, the temperature rise takes place and we get the maximum temperature obtained by the reaction mixture. This indicates that neutralization reaction is always exothermic. This is most important to remember that neutralization is always exothermic reaction. And so many questions regarding neutralization reaction can also be taken. As we have already learned in the previous videos that whenever oxygen is involved as a reactant in a certain chemical reaction, all those reactions are exothermic. Either it is a burning of fuel, burning of alcohol, burning of coal, or oxidation process. All those processes are exothermic reaction, and one of them is the neutralization reaction also, which is exothermic. Now, some more examples about endothermic reactions. Endothermic reactions are those reactions in which energy is absorbed by the reaction mixtures. Energy is absorbed by the reaction mixtures. That energy is absorbed from the surrounding. The examples of endothermic reactions are, for example, photography, for example, photosynthesis, for example, photochemical reaction, and for example, decrease in force of attraction between particles or object is always endothermic processes. Either these processes are physical or chemical. Either these processes are physical or chemical. For example, now, photography. Photography can be performed only when light energy is present. During the photography, light energy is absorbed, which helps to create images. If light energy is not present, then photography can't be performed. No image formation will take place. That's why the photography is endothermic process. In this process, energy is absorbed. Second, photosynthesis. As we are well aware of this process, the process taking place in green leaves of plants, but this process takes place only when light is present. If light is not present, then photosynthesis will not be executed. As light is essential for this process, it means that by the absorption of light energy, photosynthesis takes place. That's why photosynthesis is also an endothermic process. Endothermic process. Next is photochemical reactions. There are so many processes which take place in the presence of light. In the presence of light. Light means either of sunlight or either from a light energy from any incandescent lamp. Photosynthesis is also an example of photochemical reaction, but there are so many other processes in which light energy is also used, also absorbed. For example, reaction of chlorine with methane in organic chemistry. A free radical substitution reaction starts only when we provide light energy to the reaction mixture. If we are not going to provide light energy, then reaction will not take place. It means that those reactions which are affected or initiated by light are called photochemical reactions, and those reactions which are not affected by the light, those are called as dark reaction. Now, exothermic and endothermic are also processes which are not only applicable to the chemical process, but also physical processes are there which involve heat energy absorbed or evolved. For example, this diagram indicates the conversion of three states of matter into one another: solid, liquid, and gas. Whenever solid change, solid change into liquid, then it means that fusion takes place. Fusion. This is fusion, melting. Melting or fusion is the same thing. Whenever solid change into liquid, fusion takes place, and this is endothermic process. We provide energy to convert solid into liquid. And when liquid change into solid, solidification takes place. It means that we are removing energy of liquid particles, as a result of which force of attraction is created between liquid particles, and those particles, due to strong force of attraction, fixed at their respective position and adopt the shape of solid. So liquid change into solid, solidification. Solidification is exothermic process. Similarly, when solid change into gas, this is the sublimation process, and sublimation process is endothermic. Endothermic. When we provide energy to solid, then after absorbing energy, the force of attraction between solid particles suddenly vanish. As a result, all solid particles change into gas or a vapor form. This is called as a sublimation process. But when this vapor or gas particles again convert into the solid form, this is also called sublimation, but this process is exothermic. Exothermic, conversion of gas into the solid. Next, when gas change into liquid, means condensation. It means that we are decreasing the energy of gas particles. When energy is decreased or energy is taken out, mean when exothermic reaction takes place, then force of attraction between gas particles will be created, and then gas particles change into the liquid. This is an exothermic process, condensation. But when liquid change into gas, vaporization takes place. It means that we provide energy to liquid. Due to that energy, force of attraction between the liquid particle decreases. Then all liquid particles, due to the lesser force of attraction, change into gaseous form. And this is called as vaporization. Now, vaporization is endothermic process. That's why all these physical processes are also important, and these are involve also energies to either absorbed or evolved. All these processes can also be regarded as exothermic or endothermic reactions. I hope all of you understood all the concepts and definitions of exothermic and endothermic reaction in this lecture. This was the last lecture of this chapter, energy from chemicals. I thank you all.